As I deal with these liberals from time to time, I'm required to ask, what kind of mind do you have to be a liberal? Do you have to have a mind at all? You can lay out the facts, the evidence, doesn't seem to matter. Because I meant to raise this point earlier. Tens of millions of people in this country, ladies and gentlemen, fellow citizens, do not want to live in a free country with us. They don't want to live in a free country where there's individual free will and sovereignty, where there's private property rights, where hard work pays. They don't want to live in a country like that. And that's what this election's about. Are they going to succeed in destroying this society and enslaving us? Because that's what they want to do. Where the government controls what you get to keep, what you get to earn, and how you live your life. There are tens of millions of people in this country who do not want to live free. Now, they want to be subsidized by you and me, or they prefer being told what to do, whatever their problem, whatever their defect, in terms of how they view themselves and how they view a country. They do not want to live free. They do not believe in liberty, let alone constitutional republicanism. They don't give a damn about that in the least. And you've heard a couple of these callers. We live in a nation where 4.5% of the GDP is spent on defense, and that's too much for them. And if only we would cut back the military to the point at which it's impotent, where it's just busy running around the world taking care of tornadoes and hurricane victims. In other words, an armed Peace Corps. We'd have enough money to pay for utopia. But of course, we know that's not true. If only the rich weren't rich, we'd have enough money to pay for utopia. Of course, that's not true. If only the federal government were more powerful and authority was more concentrated in the hands of fewer and fewer people, preferably unelected bureaucrats and judges, then we'd reach utopia. But of course, that's not true. Everything I've just defined is totalitarianism. You have people calling this program screaming at the tops of their lungs for totalitarianism. You have people calling this program insisting that 1 and 1 equals 5. You have the President of the United States, who is the head cheerleader for all this. And I'm like many of you, I scratch my head and say, am I living in the real world here? What the hell's going on here? Well, of course you are. Now, there are different types of tyrannies. We've talked about this for years. This is a soft tyranny right now. It's a phrase that many have written about, but most prominently, from my perspective, Alexis de Tocqueville. That's what it is. If you want to cover up a pond in your backyard, you're not allowed to. If you want to manufacture a certain type of light bulb, you're not allowed to. If you want to manufacture a certain type of automobile, you're not allowed to. The decisions you make, small and large, are regulated in so many respects. The type of paint you use on your home. And I can go on and on. And on and on. And there are people in this country who just don't give a damn about liberty. Now, it's one thing if they don't give a damn about their liberty. I don't much care. but they don't give a damn about our liberty. And that's where we kind of have to draw the line, don't you think? See, it wasn't supposed to be that you could vote for somebody like Obama or vote for certain types of senators and congressmen and that they would have the power to seize some of your liberty and property the way they do. They don't have that authority under the Constitution. That's not a representative republic. That's a pretend representative republic, where we pretend we're voting for people who uphold the Constitution when in fact we're voting for people who don't. We vote for our own demise. When I say 4.5% of the GDP goes to the military in the federal budget and the rest of it doesn't, I'm taking the government statistics. I'm reading right from their own pie chart. But that's not good enough. When you hear the President of the United States pretend that the first 8 months of his presidency didn't even exist in order to claim that he's a bigger deficit hawk than any modern president and it was Ronald Reagan who was the big spender, you got to wonder what the hell country you're living in. And there's just too many people in this country who do not appreciate it. Starting with the president. Too many people in this country who have chips on their shoulders, who think they're smarter than everybody else, who want to control you and coerce you, and mostly plunder you. And they create justifications in their own minds. And if you don't agree with them, then there's something wrong with you. You know, you're racist, or you're this, or you're that. But you're not. You're none of those things. Oh, yes, we're very racist people, which is why people of all colors, brown, yellow, red, white, what have you, are trying to sneak into the country by the millions. Because we're such a horrendously racist country, right? Doesn't even make any sense. Unfortunately, the groups, the entities, whether they be classroom professors or leaders of concocted ethnic groups, because I view us all as Americans and they keep trying to balkanize us and I refuse to accept it, or public sector unions or what have you, they run this country. Let's just be frank with each other. They run this country, and what we are trying to do is take it back before it's too late, because they are pillaging our Constitution, they are pillaging our economic system, they are pillaging the private sector, and they are treating those of us who live and work and breathe in the private sector as their subjects, which is why they don't like it when we dare to rally, when we dare to speak out on talk radio and other places, when some dare to blog on the internet, when some dare to vote. Because we are trying to reestablish and reinstitute our constitutional system, and they stand in the way. They are perfectly happy plundering you. And notice, we're even supposed to give up the greatest military on the face of the earth to feed the beast. Have you noticed that? We are even supposed to give up our own borders to feed the beast, the government. Give up our own security. Give up our own sovereignty. Dumb down citizenship. Bankrupt our children and our children's children. For what? Why should we? Because Obama says so? Because the drones that talk like him and think like him and lie like him say so? You know, the way I talk on the radio, with passion, with facts, with history is condemned. It's condemned. And you know why it's condemned? Because it's true. Because it's effective. That's why. And you know I'm right about these things. Look at Scott Walker in Wisconsin. Look at the hell that man's had to go through. Why? Because he wants to return the Wisconsin state treasury to the people. And the public sector unions are fighting him. Because the people who are not part of the public sector unions, they're the subject. You see, they exist to go to work, earn an income, and to fund not their family first, not their dreams first, but some other individual and some other family first. Because you see, it's more noble and virtuous, as I say over and over again, to be part of the government than the private sector. Skin in the game. Pay your fair share. It's not fair that you should live in freedom. It's not fair that you should pursue your dreams. It's not fair that you should be independent and successful. It's not fair, see? That's the bottom line. That's what he means by fair or not fair. It's not fair that you're free. That's what he really means. Because if you're free, then they don't have the control that they want.